Welcome back to Lab Cyber, and boy, oh boy, do I have a crazy story to talk about today. And this right here is easily one of the worst security leaks in US history. And believe me, I am not exaggerating. When I tell you what actually happened, you might come to the exact same conclusion. Now, this story, I was told about it a few days ago from one of my friends over the phone, and when he was describing to me what exactly happened, I refused to believe that this was real. I said, there is no way this can possibly be real. I mean, it's 2026. It cannot be real. And then he sent me the link. I read through the report and I realized that, oh, it is actually real. It actually happened. And this is insane, okay? So this comes from Krebs on Security, a fantastic cybersecurity researcher. If you're not following him, I will recommend that you follow him on social media. He's great. Now, this story involves CISA. Okay, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. And that makes it 10 times worse because this ideally should be the very last organization on the planet that you'll expect to be involved in a story like this, okay? Now, who are CISA, okay? They're based in the US. They're essentially kind of like the security practitioners of the cybersecurity practitioners, okay? Their job is to educate other people about, staying safe online, and they practically write the security playbooks that other government agencies have to follow. So they're kind of like the flag bearers of cybersecurity, right? So this comes from Krebs on Security, and he says that on May 15, Krebs on Security heard from Guillaume Valadon, a researcher with the security firm GitGuardian. And apparently, he flagged a repository on GitHub, a public repository named Private CISA. Okay, and it harbored a vast number of internal CISA DHS credentials and files, including cloud keys, tokens, plain text passwords, logs, and other sensitive CISA assets. Oh my God. Okay, so first of all, strike one is this person created a public repository and called it Private CISA. That is strike one right there. Because here's the thing, okay? You can actually, to a certain extent, get away with posting very sensitive files in public repositories if you gave that repository some very random name. Maybe you give it something like, X2UVZW, something like that, okay? A lot of people might see the repository or the folder and they will just ignore it because of the name, right? But when you use words like private, all of a sudden now the curiosity is triggered. Now people will be like, what is private in this repository? What is private in this folder? You are immediately attracting people to your folder when you call it private. He then also says Private CISA, CISA. Like, I don't even know how to describe this. It's like you're basically announcing to the whole world that, hey, everyone, hey, come and look at this private folder belonging to CISA. Like, how insane can you be? And then secondly, in this same Private CISA repository, he stored cloud keys, tokens, plain text passwords. Oh, gosh. Plain text passwords in 2026. Okay. Valadon said the exposed CISA credentials represent a textbook example of poor security hygiene. No, this is not poor security hygiene. Poor security hygiene is when you don't, use the exact same password for all your accounts. You don't enable two-factor authentication. That is poor security hygiene. This right here, this is a complete lack of any kind of security hygiene. Security that doesn't even exist here at all. He then says that the commit logs in the offending GitHub account show that CISA administrator disabled the default setting in GitHub that blocks users from publishing SSH keys or other secrets in public code repositories. Oh my gosh. I want you guys to understand what this is, okay? So GitHub by default has a security feature that prevents people from posting SSH keys. Like the security feature, it's there. It's there by default, making sure that people don't do stupid things like that. This person went out of their way to disable that security feature. Okay. Passwords stored in plain text in a CSV, backups in Git, explicit commands to disable GitHub secrets detection feature, Valadon wrote in an email. I honestly believed that it was all fake before analyzing the content deeper. This is indeed the worst leak I have ever witnessed in my career. It is obviously an individual's mistake. No. Again, this Valadon sounds like a very, very nice guy, okay? He's been way too polite here, okay? This is not a mistake. This is not an individual's mistake. It is not a mistake when you go out of your way to disable the exact same security feature that's enabled by default that will prevent you from posting SSH keys in the public repository. That is no longer a mistake. That is a deliberate attempt to circumvent GitHub's default security feature. That is no longer a mistake. It's kind of like a man catching a woman cheating on him, literally in the act. She's in bed with another man. The man walks into the bedroom. And she's like, oh, darling, it was all a mistake. No, it's not a mistake. It's not. It's not a mistake, okay? This is not an individual's mistake. This has to be one of two things, okay? This is either very deliberate sabotage, okay? That for me makes the most sense. This is just a very, very deliberate sabotage. Or B, this is just an individual who just doesn't care at all. They know exactly what they're doing and they don't care at all. So, one of the exposed files titled Important AWS Tokens included the admin credentials to 3 Amazon AWS government cloud servers. Another file exposed in the public GitHub repository AWS Workspace Fireworks passwords listed plain text usernames and passwords for dozens of internal CISA systems. And this is right here. These are the files right here. Lord have mercy. So it goes on to say that a review of the GitHub account and its exposed passwords show that private CISA repository was maintained by an employee of Nightwing, a government contractor based in Dallas, Virginia. Nightwing declared to comment directing inquiries to CISA. Oh my Lord. Yeah, so this is, by the way, this is also a snapshot of the private CISA repository. It has everything, okay? SSH keys, plain text passwords, everything, the whole bunch, okay? And what makes this even worse is that this is the exact same agency who only a few months ago, their acting head, he uploaded sensitive files to the public version of ChatGPT. Yes, it's the exact same organization. So this obviously, these people have no idea what they're doing, okay? Yes, they're called the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, but they don't know what the hell they're doing. And the one thing I don't like about this report is that further down, Curbs begins to kind of like shift the blame on Trump, saying, Trump has been, there's been a lot of budget cuts to CISA. Trump isn't giving them money and all that. This isn't Donald Trump's fault, okay? I don't like it when people always default to just blaming Trump for every single bad thing that's ever happened. No, okay? This isn't Trump's fault. You could have blamed Trump if, okay, maybe CISA were unable to complete certain kinds of projects, or maybe, they weren't able to innovate new kinds of things, stuff like that, right? This right here, this individual's stupidity or deliberate act of sabotage, either way you want to look at it, this has nothing to do with Donald Trump, okay? This is not budget cuts. And given the fact that, again, this particular organization now has a running history of some insane security leaks, maybe, just maybe, they should be shut down and some other agency needs to take over cybersecurity for the United States government, because this is just, again, completely insane. So, yeah, that's it for today's story. Do let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think this is just an individual who doesn't care at all? Or do you think this was a deliberate sabotage? I like to believe this was deliberate sabotage, because there's just no way how somebody can be this just negligent. Again, It's one thing to create a public repository called, private CISA, and you store plain text passwords in there. It's quite a whole nother level when you go out of your way to disable GitHub security feature that would have prevented you from doing that in the first place. Okay, so I would like to think this was just deliberate sabotage, but hey, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. So that's it for today's video. I just had to share this insane story. It is completely insane. If you're new here to the channel, welcome to Lab Cyber. My name is Alex. I cover stories around the world of AI and cybersecurity. So if you do enjoy content like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so they're notified whenever I upload a new video. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.